My role is titled as low carbon specialist, which means that we are experts in understanding decarbonization, specifically in context to consumption economics. So I sit with the climate action solutions team of the Auckland Council, and our primary role is to enable and provide education awareness and different ways and methodologies for Aucklanders to be able to reduce their individual carbon emissions. Mostly when we speak about carbon emissions, a lot of conversations goes on into understanding companies are emitting carbon, they should reduce their emissions, but eventually if we see companies, when they produce, they are emitting, but as consumers we are consuming a lot of product and we are also emitting a lot of carbon. And it also goes on to our day-to-day activities. So the team's work is basically understanding the behavioral science, and I think a lot of people here touched upon incentivizing people to do actions that contributes to our climate. So our team actually works on a couple of different categories to engage Aucklanders to be able to reduce their carbon emissions. Work on a couple of different categories among this individual being able to take their climate actions. One is specifically energy based, and then the other one is move based. I think someone touched upon having walkable cities. People can take their bikes and go and do that last mile commute instead of taking their individual cars. The other category is food, and I coordinate a project on food. We also work on grow, shop, and also talking about climate. Talking specifically not just to each other, but also being able to question your government on the decisions they make. With respect to food, it's a very interesting project. I coordinate a project called Different Dinners. It is because 26% of Auckland's household emissions come from food and beverage they consume. Primarily, there is a lot of meat-based meal that goes into an average New Zealander's diet. When we conducted a research, we got to know that the perception of plant-based food among Aucklanders, where the plant-based food were either expensive, not so tasty, and it's not probably good for their health because the protein intake is not sufficient enough. So we were able to break that barrier by incentivizing people again, try plant-based meal which is tasty, healthier, and also low cost. And then we saw that there is an average of 2 meals increase in plant-based after we did this sort of intervention, which is kind of contributing to eliminating a lot of carbon eventually, just by an individual. This is basically based on New Zealand's context. Someone replacing one meal in a week to a plant-based meal can save about 73 kilograms of carbon, which is kind of equivalent to planting 3 trees. And imagine if an entire household can do it, and imagine if entire Auckland can do it, we will be able to eliminate more carbon. So I do work on the food because food is my passion too. You get to actually work around different recipes, you cook them, eat them, and then feed the community too. So it's actually fun. It's a carbon emissions calculator for an individual. So anyone can actually take a questionnaire. We just take them through 20 questions, and based on their behavior, you will at the end get a dashboard which shows where you are emitting your carbon. And then once you sign up, you're also taken through a journey where we enable you with some of the methodologies and tips for you to eliminate your carbon so that you can track how you are progressing towards your goal. It's very similar to how you would work out on your fitness goal, sort of an app. It's your individual carbon emissions calculator. So we have so far had 105,000 Aucklanders take up that questionnaire to know their footprints. Out of 1.7 million, it's a little number, but we are just trying to push as much as possible so that most people know what they're emitting. And the biggest thing is that when they complete the questionnaire, they get a shock to see that oh, my emission is so much. And that is when they understand that the most meaningful or impactful action that they think towards climate action is basically a low impact action. Just to give you an example, most people in Auckland think that the impactful action that they can take is to recycle. But in terms of the actual impact in New Zealand context, it's number 60. So there's a huge difference between that sort of like understanding versus actual, and that's where we are trying to fill in the gap by educating them.